What's up, y'all? It's your boy Mike G. Um, I ran across some things that I've been thinking about being a vegan thus far in my journey. I want to say it's been going on maybe a month. Um, I'm not really keeping track of stuff like that. I don't really find dates and times and lengths of certain aspects of my life necessary, as well as much as the journey itself. Uh, so. And I've come across a contrast that I'm probably sure somebody else has got to have come across, and that is a plant-based diet with no animal products versus veganism, and there are distinct differences. Um, and then from there on, vegetarian, pescatarian, omnivore, so on and so forth. You know, I do think, based on my own journey, that it boils down to having a plant-based, you know, diet with no animal products versus veganism, which incorporates that, but there's also an ethical feature involved, and not only just not having animal products, but having issue with the way animals are treated, which is also very important. As I said in some of my videos and some of my posts and other social media, nobody has to die to get on my plate. Okay, nobody's eggs have to get snatched from them and their babies put in a blender and sucked away just for eggs to get on my plate, or nobody has to give birth to a baby calf and have that taken away for whatever reason, mostly morbid reasons, in order to get their milk and have that milk pasteurized and so on and so forth to get into my glass. Primarily what's in my glass is coffee or water. I can't remember the last time I had a soda per se. Sometime earlier this year. So none of that has to happen in order for me to eat or to be healthy. I'm about to go work out in a little bit. I'm thinking that I feel like a plant-based diet with no animal products is a good default description of a person's diet, whereas veganism gets into how animals are treated and your lifestyle conforming to that ethical struggle. What you wear, what you eat, what you touch. Even it even gets down to what you touch, what you put your hands on, what you your clothing, as I said. While that does affect your diet, internally and externally, both things affect your diet. One does have more of an ethical feature that gets involved in protesting and ethical treatment of animals, and even criticism of the mind frame or mindset that some people have about how animals are treated, and whether or not you need to go into their habitat, stalk them, and as soon as they let their guard down, kill them when they ain't done nothing to you. Take a picture with the carcass and either just leave it there and let it rot, or eat it, and then talk about it later in a podcast or in a video or in a book or to your friends, so on and so forth. Those kinds of issues run deep in the veganism community because they don't have to happen. And everybody talks about how, not everybody, but some people talk about how they're going to eat a whole slab of bacon as a advertisement for the ketogenic diet, and it's like, no, you're not. You're not going to eat a whole slab of bacon. One, two, what you're going to do is turn it into a carcinogen first, and maybe sprinkle plant-based seasonings onto it, or that's probably already happened. Digest that and deal with the consequences later on down the line. You know, if being carnivorous is so attractive, do it like the wolves do it. Um, or the lions, or the other, or the carnivores. Otherwise, we're just pretending as human beings. We're just pretending to be carnivores, when most of this stuff, in its most basic form, is detestable and not edible, for humans. Um, you know, most anyway. I mean, I know there are some cultures where that's all there is, and they know how to prepare it in a way that is most optimal. But an optimal diet is a plant-based diet with no animal products, and um, veganism has an ethical feature, which comes in various, degrees and stages and so on and so forth. And as a side note, there's also, um, certain people that feel like, oh, well, um, I'm eating a vegan meal, so I'm vegan. Or, um, I'm a vegan on the weekends. I'm part vegan, part vegetarian, part pescatarian, part omnivore. No, we don't dice it up. Don't even dice it up with a plant-based diet. You could have a plant-based meal with no animal products, which is optimal, but it's not vegan. Especially if you chop it up with, other kinds of meals with other kind of products in them. And that's what I'm realizing to myself. And I'm basically talking about myself to myself and sharing that with you. Sharing my observation about that with you, and seeing what like, comment, subscribe, and all that kind of stuff, while I figure out and solidify the direction this YouTube channel is going to go, along with the blog coming up, Patreon, PayPal, social media, so on and so forth. I have something to say, something to share, and I'm willing to discuss, so on and so forth. But it looks to me like there's a plant-based meal with no animal products. Some of y'all might be saying duh. I'm saying duh, but these are observations I'm making as I go forward. And, but there's no vegan meal with the ethical feature that you can do some of the time. I realize that within there's a range and a variance of issues as you adjust and adapt to that, kind of lifestyle and that kind of diet, that has errors and has, whatever, because I realize that, I'm still susceptible to animal products, and conditioned to be susceptible to them. Maybe not as much as I used to be, but I'm not letting my guard down. And when I do, that's when things happen. That's when issues occur, and they're next to none. And so far, the lifestyle, as far as veganism, has brought up some issues with me ethically about, animals being treated that way. Sentient beings being treated that way. A sentient being doesn't have to die or give up their eggs or their milk to make it onto my plate or in my glass. Not anymore. Not anymore. And at the very least, it's a plant-based diet with no animal products that's good for me internally, and makes me less susceptible to, a host of different issues health-wise. And at best, it's a vegan lifestyle that's for the ethical treatment of animals, sentient beings, that's going to be good for them, the environment, and myself.